It's 9:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. I appreciate you guys being here however you may be listening, whether you're on the iHeartRadio app, the TuneIn app, the FM dial, whether you're watching us on Super Talk TV, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with your friends. We appreciate you joining the broadcast however you may be listening. There's a lot of moving parts today. We got Leviticus Allen producing, we got Jay Harper in the newsroom, and we got you guys with your instant reaction to all the events of yesterday at 615-737-9986. It has been a wild 24 hours. And again, I just want to say the power of prayer is real. You've heard a lot of leftists say, screw your prayers. And I don't subscribe to that one bit. I think that God moves when you pray. And I think that praying for these families, praying for these victims, I think it's one of the best things that you can do. And when we all pray together, those prayers just get stronger. It infuriated me hearing so many leftists talking about screw your prayers yesterday. It really did. I was downright pissed. It also infuriated me hearing a few of the right-wing pundits and their takes yesterday. Honestly, that infuriated me more. But I want to get your instant reaction on everything that happened yesterday. Is there an epidemic of trans violence? 615-737-9986. You know, they'll say that we don't know the motive behind this individual, Robin Westman or Robert Westman, depending on what you want to call him. But he literally posted a video showing how much he hated Christians. He literally posted an 11-minute video that is one of the creepiest, darkest videos I've ever seen. And I watch a lot of the underbelly of the internet. He had a target with Jesus Christ's picture on it. How are you going to tell me that you don't know what the motive is? How on earth? How on earth do you have the audacity to say that? How on earth does the mayor of Minneapolis, Jacob Frey, have the balls to come out and say, stop attacking transgenderism? We need to worry about our kids. We are worried about our kids. We are. We're deeply worried about our kids. And not just the ones at school, but the ones that you lunatics are prescribing these drugs and affirming this identity and mental illness. We're worried about those kids too. We're not attacking transgender kids, quite the opposite. While you're letting them dive into their delusions and go down the darkest possible path with no return, we want to help those kids. See, you got to call out evil. And when they push this transgender ideology on kids, that's all it is. It's evil. It's evil. And you have to name it. The most loving thing that we can do as Christians is bring this up and say we don't have to go down this path. We don't. But you got the police chief out there. I don't know what the motive is. You got the mayor, Jacob Frey, who he's going to be out anyway before you know it because the Somali population of Minneapolis doesn't want anything to do with him. But he's saying don't attack transgender kids. Don't use this as an excuse to attack transgender kids. There's no such thing as a transgender kid. I'm sorry. There's such a thing as a kid who is dealing with a mental health crisis, dealing with a mental disorder, absolutely. And there's such thing as parents pushing their mental health crisis on their kids as well. But there's no such thing as a transgender kid. Point blank. But we don't know what the motive is. We have no idea what could be going on. Cue up MSNBC. They were reporting on the Minneapolis shooters' manifesto. And they know. They know exactly what time it is.
things that we're still trying to get a better handle on. We're still going through the videos and going through the writings. So just to describe it to folks, they're YouTube videos where there's a number of either journals or they look like journals where there's a number of writings, not all of them in the English language. There's some sort of Eastern European language that's used. Some of it is in English. And this individual is writing about a whole host of things. Won't get into all the particular details. As we stated last hour, we're not here to do the bidding of this individual so that we can basically put out the information they were hoping to gain out of this shooting, which has killed an 8 and a 10-year-old. You referenced those that are at the hospital, the kids ages 6 to 14. Some of them are in critical condition. 4 needed to be operated on. What investigators are focusing on are these videos, when they were specifically made. There's some dates that are associated with it. The bottom line messaging on this, suicidal thoughts, quote, extremely violent thoughts is how one person in law enforcement phrased it to me. There's a reference to prior mass violence attacks. There's a whole host of different writings, some of it nonsensical. There's a handwritten diagram of the interior of a church, not clear if it's this church. And there's all sorts of things that this individual is muttering and whispering under their breath. So that's the latest as far as the investigation goes. What specific ideology or motivation will be assigned to this? To be determined.
To be determined. TBD. TBD. Mind you, if you're not watching on the stream, you didn't see the video. But if you are watching on the stream, MSNBC actually showed a clip of the video diary manifesto, the 11-minute video that has been making its rounds on the internet. And it showed a magazine that said, "Kill Donald Trump" written on it. We have no idea what the ideology is. We have no idea about the particulars. What do we know? The Minneapolis Catholic school shooter was Robin Westman, or Robert, until his woke mother helped him change his name when he was 17 years old. And there's documents out there that saying he now identifies as a girl, so we have to affirm him with a new name. We know that. Written on his magazines were things like, "Kill Donald Trump now." 6 million was not enough, referring to the Holocaust. Again, believe it or not, very prevalent among leftists. And things like, "I'm the woker, baby. Why so queer is." He uploaded that 11-minute video showing off his guns, showing off his magazine, showing off his manifesto, and then he posted it to YouTube before he committed that unspeakable act of violence against a church full of children. But we don't know. We don't know what the motive is. It could be anything. Could be anything. Don't be a conspiracy theorist. We can't say that this individual had a certain ideology. We do know that the shooter's mother worked at the church that he shot up. She retired in 2021. Can we learn more about that connection? Not yet. Not yet. We will. We will. I know some individuals that live in that area, past tense, and they describe it as one of the wokest areas in Minneapolis. And one of the questions that I was curious about was is this a woke church? I don't know how relevant that is to the conversation, but it's something that I wondered, and I haven't gotten any answers, but I have heard from friends that used to live in the area that it's a woke area. It's a woke area. We're also learning a lot about what was written on his magazines. And he had quite a few magazines with quite a few messages. And a lot of these messages really, they really channel the underbelly of the internet. And we'll talk about this. This kid was radicalized online, one way or another, no matter how you slice it. This is another reason why I want to keep my kids away from the internet as long as possible. This isn't going to happen to every kid, but unfettered access to the internet leads to bad things for young kids. And I can only imagine that this kid had unfettered access for a long time to the internet, especially when you see some of the messages that were written on his guns in his magazines. He had Cane Bread, a reference to Sandy Hook shooter Adam Lanza's online username. He had a bunch of Russian written on it in Cyrillic, writing, "I am a terrorist. I am Combine. Where is your God now?" Taunting Christians. He had the names of shooters written on magazines, from the guy that shot up the Aurora Theater, a shooter in Finland, Adam Lanza. I mean, down the list. Anders Breivik from Norway in 2011, Brenton Tarrant, Ted Kaczynski. He had psycho killer written on it. He had satanic symbols, slurs, up to and including the N-word. He had threats to kill the president. On one of his magazines, it was written, sponsored by BlackRock. Sponsored by BlackRock. He had Israel must fall, take this, all of you, and eat, mocking Catholics again. He had kiss me written on the barrel of a shotgun. Do you believe in God? Hello, brother. Remove kebab. This guy was unhinged. And I don't know how much we want to point to the politicians' rhetoric on the left and say that's what caused this. Surely it influenced it. But I think that the rhetoric influences the conversation online, which influences the psycho. It's a step-by-step process. But disturbing stuff coming out of that manifesto. Disturbing drawings, too. Did you see the drawing? There's a drawing going around from his manifesto where it's a picture of the shooter staring into the mirror, and looking back at him is a demon. It's a demon. I mean, this is satanic. On its face, this is a satanic thing. This is an attack against Christians. And they'll come out and say, we don't know what the motive is. Well, the motive is attacking Christians. That they were targeting Christian kids, point blank. Christians are the most persecuted religion and faith in the entire world. But people don't want to talk about it. They always attack Christ. Jack Posobiec yesterday on Timcast saying that they always do. They always go after Christ. And we've seen this time and time again when these communist color revolutions happen. The lunatics go after the Christians.
Here's one of the reasons, and I've talked about this for a long time, that every time you get a revolutionary movement, every time you're going through a cultural revolution, and they're always Marxist, but even proto-Marxist, if it's the French Revolution, the inversion of the societal order requires an inversion of the moral order. But the problem with this is that you have believers.
Right.
You have religious faithful that are in your way.
Yep.
And so this becomes an issue for the revolutionary, it becomes an issue for the Marxist, it becomes an issue for the communist, because they do believe in a higher power. That higher power, in this case, of course, being God, that is above the state, that is above whoever's in charge of the government, that is above the Constitution as they've decided to twist it and add words to it and all the other stuff. And so this becomes exactly who they target, because they know that the source of all of the status quo, which, and by the way, even if you read this manifesto, that's essentially what this freak is saying, is that the world is unjust. I have to undo it. I have to strike back against that injustice.
And he was radicalized online by individuals who are radicalized by the Democrat Party. It's a slow burn, but I don't know how you come to any other conclusion. I don't. I mean, and you got liberals out there that are blaming Republicans. Of course they will. And I look at this situation and I see the Democrats sinking their teeth into it because they look at this as an opportunity. Never let a crisis go to waste. We've been talking about Donald Trump cracking down on crime and what he's been able to do in D.C. and how the Democrats are in a no-win situation. Well, now they can pivot to gun control. Oh, if Republicans really cared about keeping people safe, they'd have a conversation about gun control. Guaranteed, this is going to be a massive talking point for the Democrat Party moving forward until we get to the midterms in 2026. It's the only thing they have. So get ready for that and get ready to combat those talking points, because they're coming. It wasn't the Democrats that pissed me off the most yesterday, though. It was the so-called conservatives that pissed me off the most yesterday. One Trey Gowdy and one Jordan Peterson may have had the worst takes of the day. And I'm going to bring them to you on the way. Hang out with us. It's 9:20 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. You know, in the year of 2025, it is a little bit crazy to not have yourself armed. My name is Chris Hand, and I'm here for my friends at the Glock store. And when I need a firearm or I need that training, I do it at the Glock store. You should too. You need to keep yourself and your family safe. If you don't have a firearm, if you haven't been trained, go to the Glock store. Seriously, stop wasting time. Go to shoot270.com today and sign up for a training session. On the flip side, if you've been used to a firearm, you've gotten your training, but you got a Glock that you want to shoot flatter with less recoil, you also need to go to the Glock store and get yourself a C-cut. It's a compensator cut. These are precision slots in your barrel and slide that push the blast upward in a V-shaped pattern that will cut down on muzzle flip and get you back on target faster. They used to be only available in the Gen 3 compensated Glocks, but now the Glock store can do it to yours in 10 days or less. Don't take my word for it. Get a sample bullet pack for just $6.99, and you can shoot a C-cut Glock 17, 19, or my favorite, the 43X. Now, the C-cuts make a difference in all the model, but that 43X with the C-cut, chef's kiss. You can only get this at the Glock store, minutes from the airport, worth the drive from anywhere, and always open online, glockstore.com.
New details about who's behind a series of security scares on college campuses. And the Labor Day weekend is almost upon us, and it looks to be one of the busiest for travelers in years. We'll have those stories coming up at 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Jay Harper in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Love those guys. Patriots. You can listen to us anywhere. iHeartRadio, tune in the FM dial. You can watch us, YouTube, Rumble. Hit like, hit subscribe. I appreciate it when you do so. It literally puts food in my kids' mouth. Speaking of my kids, happy birthday to my oldest son, Brooks, who turns 8 today. This story in Minneapolis just hits so close to home for me because I have so many young kids, and it pains me to see the reaction from both the left and some on the right. And I'll be honest with you, it's the stuff on the right that made me more angry than anything else. Enter Trey Gowdy into the chat. Trey Gowdy has been trash for a long time. Let's not beat around the bush. Trey Gowdy, just a couple weeks ago, said, well, you know, there's more ways to punish people than handcuffs for the Russia hoax.
Same pointed questions. Trey?
Yeah, and unfortunately for Brennan, the same allergy to the truth that he has now. He is allergic to the truth. He lied in that part of his testimony, and he lied about whether or not the dossier was used in court filings. The statute's wrong, but to Leslie's point, handcuffs are not the only way we mete out accountability in this culture.
Oh, is that so? Is that so? Weak, spineless conservative. Trey Gowdy also was one of the guys who said during the Russia hoax, everything was done by the book.
The FBI did exactly what my fellow citizens would want them to do when they got the information they got.
Is that you spying on the president? Spying on his campaign? Yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah, that's exactly what we wanted. That's it. But yesterday may have been one of his worst takes of all time. And it pains me to see this. It really does. Because just a couple days ago, Donald J. Trump endorsed his book on Truth Social, Trey Gowdy's book. Trey Gowdy is the deep state. Trey Gowdy is the rhino. He's the poster child for it. And his comments yesterday exposed him. Listen to what he said about white people.
Our system is reactive. Something bad happens, we react to it. And what people are crying for now is, how can we prevent this? How can we stop it? And the only way to stop it is to identify the shooter ahead of time or keep the weapons out of their hands. And so we're going to have a conversation of freedom versus protecting children.
All right, if you stopped it there, it's already bad. You've already jumped the shark, Mr. Gowdy. We need more guns, good guys with guns to stop bad guys with guns. And I'm not giving up my firearms to protect children, or you'll turn into the UK where migrants are chasing around 14-year-old girls, and the only way they can protect themselves is with an axe and a blade, because they understand that if they get caught by that migrant, they're going to be raped, and then it's going to be brushed under the rug by local authorities and their own government. Is that the future you want for our children, Trey? It's not the future I want, but he didn't stop there. He didn't. He then demonized an entire race of people.
How many school shootings does it take before we're going to have a conversation about keeping firearms out? It's always a young white male.
Oh, is it, Trey? Is it? We'll have more thoughts on this loser after the news with Jay Harper. It's 9:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It's 9:30. I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. Hang on, a weather forecast is coming up. New details about who's behind a series of security scares on college campuses. Officials across the country have been grappling with these active shooter hoaxes. A swatting group called Purgatory is believed to be behind the hoax calls, which can result in lockdowns and, in some cases, extreme panic. Here's ABC's John Cohen.
Purgatory is a group of young people that are located in various countries. They come together online and they operate as an organized cell, target engaging in swatting for hire or swatting for their own purposes to include gaining notoriety. They want to gain notoriety so others will hire them for more swatting.
Back here in the Nashville area, no students were injured in a school bus crash in the Antioch area earlier this morning. That's according to Metro Nashville Public Schools. The public school system adds that a two-vehicle crash took place with one of those vehicles hitting a Cane Ridge High School bus. No one on the bus was injured, and students were transported on another bus. The crash was at the intersection of Bell Road and Blue Hole Road near I-24, but again, no students injured. Well, the Labor Day travel rush, it's already on today, and today's expected to be perhaps the busiest day to fly over the long holiday weekend.
This is going to be the busiest TSA has seen in more than 15 years. They're talking about 323,000 flights for the FAA over the entire holiday. More than 17.1 million people expect to pass their TSA security screening checkpoints. United and American saying this will be the busiest Labor Day travel they've ever had.
That is the latest news. Weather's up next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for my friend Shane Ring over at Cover Nash. Now, if you need health insurance, you might be staring at a just mirage of a deadline that is open enrollment. You're like, oh, if I can only make it to open enrollment, I'll get that health insurance. That's the biggest misconception in health insurance. You don't have to wait for open enrollment. That's what the big guys want you to believe. With Cover Nash, you can get covered today, right now, no waiting, no gimmicks. Missed open enrollment, you're covered. Lost your job, lost your coverage, they got you covered. Sick of just overpriced junk insurance? Well, you're in the right place. Cover Nash is partnering with over 75 top-rated insurance companies, including brand new nationwide PPO options with deductibles as low as $250, flat $50 doctor visits, even for specialists, and ACA-compliant plans with free preventative care like physicals, colonoscopies, the works. Plans for individuals, families, self-employed, even if you need one for your whole small business. But you won't be overpaying, and you won't have to wait. Stop thinking you're stuck. Go to covernash.com or give Shane Ring a call today, 615-465-0023. That's 615-465-0023. Health insurance on your terms, not the government's. Covernash.com.
Our system is reactive. Something bad happens, we react to it. And what people are crying for now is how can we prevent this? How can we stop it? And the only way to stop it is to identify the shooter ahead of time or keep the weapons out of their hands. And so we're going to have a conversation of freedom versus protecting children. I mean, how many school shootings does it take before we're going to have a conversation about keeping firearms out? It's always a young white male.
That wasn't a blue-haired leftist on MSNBC. That wasn't a Harvard-educated analyst on CNN. No, that was Fox News. That was Trey Gowdy. It's a guy who claims to be a conservative. Making statements like that? Are you kidding me? And what were you going to say, Trey, before you demonized an entire race of people? Were you going to say that we need to have a conversation about disarming Americans? Is that so? Is that so? It's Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. We love those guys, Patriots. You can watch us on YouTube and Rumble. You can listen to us on iHeart, TuneIn, or the FM dial. We appreciate you being here, however you are here. Trey Gowdy making comments that would make a liberal politician blush.
Our system is reactive. Something bad happens, we react to it. And what people are crying for now is how can we prevent this? How can we stop it? And the only way to stop it is to identify the shooter ahead of time or keep the weapons out of their hands. And so we're going to have a conversation of freedom versus protecting children. I mean, how many school shootings does it take before we're going to have a conversation about keeping firearms out? It's always a young white male.
Except it's not. Except for the fact that it's not. You know, it's funny that he says that. He does. He sounds like an MSNBC commentator. He sounds like a CNN contributor. But it's not always a young white male, Trey. Let's go down the list. Denver school shooter Devin Erickson, trans. Denver school shooter Maya McKinney, trans. Aberdeen shooter Snowshia Mosley, trans. Nashville shooter, you know. Uvalde shooter, trans. That's what everybody said. That one was unconfirmed. I'll give you that. Unconfirmed. But if you look at the pictures, you can jump to conclusions. Georgia shooter Colt Gray, trans. Iowa shooter Dylan Butler, gender fluid. Philadelphia shooter Kim Brady Carricker, trans. Colorado Springs shooter Anderson Lee Aldrich, non-binary. It's always a white male. Mind you, a few of these individuals on the list that I just named are black. It's always a young white male. Would Trey Gowdy have the cojones to go on Fox News and talk about the violence in Chicago over the weekend and say, when are we going to have a national conversation about young black kids with guns? It seems like every time there's a shooting in Chicago, it's a young black kid. No, he wouldn't. He wouldn't have the spine to do that. It seems like in this country currently, only two things are for certain. You're allowed to demonize white people, and you're allowed to make fun of Jesus Christ. The other religions are off the table, the other races off the table. And this is a perfect storm for a spineless coward like Trey Gowdy. And what were you going to say we have to have a national conversation about, Trey? Is the national conversation that we need to give up our guns? I did a whole segment yesterday on the Queen of the Scots, this young 14-year-old girl who had to brandish a knife and an axe to keep 3 migrants away from her. She got arrested, by the way. That's what happens in a country where they take away your guns. That's what happens. Migrants follow around young girls, and then they rape them, and the government covers it up, says nothing to see here, and you end up in a situation where a 14-year-old girl, to feel safe, has to carry around a blade. Is that what Trey Gowdy wants here? No, I think that the solution is more guns, personally. And you know what this school did? This school asked for money for more guns and more armed security, believe it or not. Daily Wire broke this story, and it's going to infuriate you, much like it did me. But shout out to the Daily Wire, local here in Nashville. Minnesota Catholic school leader warned Tim Walz of critical school safety threats, and he did nothing. He did nothing. The latest school shooting at a non-public Christian school in Tennessee sadly confirms what we already know. Our schools are under attack. 2 years before a shooter opened fire on students attending daily mass in Minneapolis, the leaders of the independent and Catholic schools in Minnesota begged Democrat Governor Tim Walz to help secure their schools, according to a 2023 letter reviewed by the Daily Wire. They were doing it in response to what we saw happen when Christian kids were targeted here in Nashville. The letter was dated April 14, 2023. Specifically addressing school safety in non-public schools. Tim Benz, the president of Mindependent, and Jason Adkins, the executive director of Minnesota Catholic Conference, stressed an urgent and critical need in Minnesota to make sure our schools are safe and secure in light of recent and continuing attacks on our schools in this country and in our state. The letter says there are about 72,000 students in independent Catholic, Jewish, Christian, and Muslim non-public schools within the state of Minnesota. And it came just 2 weeks after the Covenant school shooting. The latest school shooting at a non-public Christian school in Tennessee sadly confirms what we already know. Our schools are under attack. In Minnesota schools, non-public schools, particularly our Jewish and Muslim schools, have experienced increased level of threats, all of which we must take very seriously. The tragedy from last week at Covenant School must never happen in Minnesota or in our country again. We need to ensure that all schools have the resources to respond and prevent these attacks from happening. The leaders specifically called on Walz for assistance and making sure not only that Minnesota legislature enacts his budget recommendation of $50 million to establish the building and cybersecurity grant program, but also that this program include all schools as eligible for funding, regardless of whether these schools are public, charters, or non-public. Adkins told the Daily Wire on Wednesday after the shooting in Minneapolis that no additional security was ever funded, even though the money existed. So when all these fake conservatives and Democrats get on TV and say, we have to protect the kids, let them know there was an opportunity 2 years ago, and the Democrat leadership in Minnesota said, hard pass. Hard pass. Sickos. And now they want to lecture us. Now they want to lecture you. Now they want your firearm. Nope, not going to happen. Not going to happen. We've seen what happens at the end of that road. We see it every day across the pond in the UK. We see it in Australia. We see what happens when you go down that road. I'm not about that. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the conversation. Rich in Tullahoma. What's up, Rich?
Hey, good morning, Chris. How you doing, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
I'm good. Hey, so we chatted a little bit earlier, and just for the little bit on it, I am a military veteran and a former cop with experience in my department was the Columbine incident was our case. So I'm familiar with a lot of this stuff, and speaking of the Covenant shooting, when this hits home, everybody gets all up in arms and they want to take action and find solutions and all this. Well, my state senator, Janice Bowling, actually reached out to me, and I do own a contract security company, and that is my professional wheelhouse. So I don't call myself an expert in anything, but I think I know a little bit about this. And so she reached out to me and she said, what is the solution for this? And, everybody was still emotional about all this. And I put together a proposal for a pilot program for Tullahoma City Schools. And, she liked it. Our state rep was in on it. He liked it. And she took it to Governor Lee's office, and we got crickets after that. So Trey Gowdy, Bill Lee, maybe even Marcia, do any of these politicians really want a true answer to securing our schools and protecting our children? I mean, they protect themselves with guns.
Yep.
We need trained people at these schools, and I can provide that, but maybe it's that I don't know enough people. Maybe it's like, I'm not popular enough in their little circle of, who to know. But guess what? There's security companies all over the place.
Yep.
that can train and put people who are trained to kill somebody wanting to kill our children. That's the brutal truth of it, man.
Yep.
There's no other way around it. We need, military veterans, retired law enforcement, people who have this training and background to be in our schools. We don't need to harden the schools. They're already built like a dang prison. And
Yep.
my two oldest sons were involved in the Park County shooting in 2006. And so, yeah. I know about this stuff, and I teach about this stuff, and I train on this stuff in my facility in Tullahoma. So the answer isn't to imprison our children to keep people out. The answer is having armed security, even in these churches, and we teach church security as well. Even in the churches, in schools, you have to have somebody who is trained to identify and address a potential threat.
Amen.
And especially, these mentally ill psychos who their motive, yes, the attack has been on Christians recently. And I am a Catholic and I'm a traditional Catholic. So this really, hurts my soul to the core for these children in Minneapolis. And brother, I've trained plenty of churches in their security and things like that. But you have to have somebody who's capable of identifying and addressing these threats and the mental illness behind it. And that's just the brutal fact of it. And these politicians, they don't want answers. They don't want solutions, man. They just want to be able to go out there and throw an SRO in a school and say, oh, we got it covered. Well, they're in a law enforcement capacity. They're there to address law enforcement issues. If they're having to handle little Johnny and Jimmy who just got in a fight, and now they're distracted from, supposedly securing the school, then what?
Yeah.
We had an SRO at Columbine years ago, 1999. Columbine High School had a school resource officer in it. Guess what? 2 weeks afterwards, he quit because he felt blamed for it. Anytime I had to arrest somebody from that area, anytime I had to deal with anybody in the community around Columbine, guess what? It was my fault.
That's crazy.
It's not on law enforcement, man.
I'm not blaming law enforcement at all, Rich, and I agree with a lot of what you're saying, and I appreciate the call, as always. Thank you so much, and thank you for your service. But the leftists will say what Rich said is bovine scatology. The leftists will look at you and say, the only way to solve this is to take away all the guns. And I would say, okay, then you're going to get knife attacks like we see in the UK. Then you're going to get truck attacks like we've seen in this country. New Orleans, New Year's Day. I mean, they memory hold that real quick. But these psychopaths are going to find a way no matter what that doesn't stop the fake conservatives and the leftists from saying, no, we need to take away your guns. Cue up MSNBC yesterday.
You have to be honest and say what will actually work, which is what nobody wants to hear, which is that there are just simply way too many firearms and they're way too accessible. And even if they're
too powerful?
And they're too powerful. Even handguns, too. Again, that's why in Australia, it doesn't matter if it's not politically acceptable to say it. I'm not here as a politician or anyone who works in politics. I'm a journalist. Whether or not you like it, the only thing that really works, if you really wanted to bring down gun violence, was to do what Australia did and to do what many other countries in Europe do. I realize I will get so much hate mail over this. People will tell me that I'm a communist and all of these other things, and I'm so terrible, which also only reinforces the point, as I will definitely get, some sort of
blowback,
not just blowback, but threatening blowback, which is to say these people who are supposed to be so law abiding are so quick to tell me that I ought to die or whatever else it is.
Or you better watch out.
Oh, yeah. What a victim. What a victim. He wants to take away all your guns. Oh, Australia did it, and it worked out great. It worked out great. Yeah, it worked out awesome as they were locking up citizens in COVID concentration camps because they had a bit of a coof. Yeah. I haven't forgot. Have you forgot that? Australia was one of the most tyrannical governments when it came to COVID restrictions. What an example, a shining beacon on the hill of what happens when you give up your firearms. The UK, now they gave up their firearms, and now they just have to deal with Muslim rape gangs. Great examples. Great examples. We'll take more of your calls on the way. Bob, Mike, hang on the line, guys. We'll get to you next. It's 9:52. This is Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
So, what are the chances the Federal Reserve might cut interest rates next month? We'll have a story on that. And a Hendersonville teen is still missing 18 months after he disappeared. We'll have an update. That's all coming up at the top of the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That story on that teen still doesn't pass the sniff test, hoping that they can find some answers. Jay Harper's got the headlines on the way. My name's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Super Talk, brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. It's also brought to you by Super Talk. I wouldn't be here without the radio station. Bob in Spring Hill, you're up first. What are your comments on the latest on the Annunciation Church shooting? What do you got?
Hey, Chris. Thanks for taking my call. I agree with you 100%, and I'm glad you're calling it out. I'm sick of them blaming white people or Christians and saying, you know, what they're saying, especially the liberals, you know, but it's shocking what Trey Gowdy said. And you know what? I would love it if you could get him on your show, if you could call him and see him, bring him on your show and grill him about this, because somebody needs to challenge these politicians face to face.
Yeah,
like the way Matt Murphy challenged people, and I'd love to see you challenge Trey Gowdy. So see if you can get him on your show.
It's funny that you bring that up, Bob, and I appreciate the call. Trey Gowdy's actually out there shilling a new book. Did you see this? He's got a new book out. What a coincidence. So I am going to be sending a nice email, and I'm going to say, Trey, dude, huge fan, Trey. Love what you're doing. Want to help promote the book. Come on my radio station. Let's talk about the book. And then I'm going to grill him. I'm sending that email out today. Make no mistake about it. I will do my best to get Trey Gowdy on the show. Let's go to Mike real quick. Mike, what do you got? Yo, Mike, what's up, man? Mike, you all right? Somebody check on Mike. We'll come back. We'll see. We'll check on Mike. We'll make sure Mike's all right. Mike always has a hot take. He always does. I just hope he's okay. We'll check on him. We'll take more of your phone calls, and I'll bring you some of the latest leftist reaction on that mass shooting that took place yesterday in Minneapolis. Plus, Brink Fiddler from Defense Systems is going to be joining the show at 10:35. I want to get his take. He knows how to deal with these active shooter situations. And I also want maybe some just good tips, good plans of action. What can you put into action should you encounter that violence in everyday life? Brink has some good answers, and he'll be joining the show at 10:35. A lot to get to. It's 10 o'clock. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 10 a.m., and I'm Jay Harper with your top stories. A weather forecast is upcoming, so stand by. The Federal Reserve might cut interest rates next month. Bankrate Chief Financial Analyst Greg McBride telling ABC News what could influence the central bank either way.
If we do see continued deterioration in the labor market, that's going to clinch a rate cut in September. But if the labor market evens out, it's not that bad, but inflation's still poking us in the ribs, that's going to warrant more of this wait-and-see posture from the Fed.
This week marks 18 months since the disappearance of Sebastian Rogers, the autistic teenager who was last seen at his home in Hendersonville back in February of 2024. Channel 4 says Sebastian's father is still on a mission to find out where his son is, claiming Sumner County authorities just aren't doing enough to find the young man. Seth Rogers, he stood outside the Sumner County Courthouse on Wednesday demanding transparency.
Come out here and remind them that it's not just a picture. It's a child that's missing, and it happens to be my son. And they need to do their job. Find my son. They need to be held accountable for their job. They need to be held responsible for their job duties.
Sebastian's biological mom and stepfather say they, too, are just as committed to finding the boy. And earlier this year, they hired a private investigator. A $50,000 reward from the FBI is still available. The Market Numbers Report brought to you by Beacon Capital Management. They can be found online at beaconcm.com. With this morning's report, here's Dave Packer.
NVIDIA reported its second quarter earnings after the bell Wednesday of $26.4 billion. That surpassed expectations, but the chipmaker stock dropped on news that its data center revenue came in below expectations. NVIDIA has emerged as a bellwether of an AI boom, accounting for about 9% of the S&P 500. Kroger, one of the nation's largest grocery store chains, is planning nearly 1,000 layoffs. Reuters reporting that in a memo, interim CEO Ron Sargent saying that the cuts will simplify the organization and free up money to lower grocery prices and help them add stores and add hours for store employees. The company's given no indication that these cuts have anything to do with tariffs. It's the third round of layoffs for the chain this year. Shares of Kohl's jumped a whopping 24% Wednesday after the department store beat spring earnings estimates even as sales slowed, which CEO Michael Bender blamed on the economy.
That is the latest news. Weather is up next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
It's 10:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. You get those at betterwater.com. Those guys are patriots. Support companies that don't hate you, and I assure you, Better Water doesn't hate you. You can listen to the show anywhere, iHeartRadio, tune in, the FM dial. We're live on Super Talk TV, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, Rumble. YouTube and Rumble are really the big ones. Hit like, hit subscribe, share the show with your friends. Helping us grow the digital footprint of the radio station is a high priority. It really is. The internet is going to be the future, and we need you guys to support us over there on YouTube and Rumble. So please hit like and hit subscribe and share the show with your friends. We got a lot to get to here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. A lot of it is revolving around what took place yesterday in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I have friends that lived near the school. They tell me it's a woke area full of woke liberals, and this shooter does seem as woke as they come. His mother affirmed the gender change. His parents were all in on switching his name from Robert to Robin at 17 years old. And it seemed like while they should have been concerned about the mental illness, they affirmed the mental illness. And we have to have a real conversation in this country and call it what it is. It's mental illness. And I'm sorry. So prescribing somebody any kind of drugs that's going to alter their chemical biology, however you want to put it, testosterone, estrogen, the like, puberty blockers, all those things, that's not going to help somebody with a mental illness solve their mental illness. That's going to make the problems get even worse. It's just the reality of the situation. Trey Gowdy, he thinks that we have a real problem with white people, white men. It's always a young white male, and I think that we have an issue with medication and mental health. And my wife and I were talking about this last night. It almost seems weird to use mental health as this crutch because I think everybody has a bit of a mental health issue. So I think that this kid was clearly dealing with some demonic influence in his life. Clearly depressed, 100%. Clearly dealing with a psychotic break of some sort. And all you got to do is watch that 11-minute video that's been making the rounds on the internet to confirm those suspicions. All you got to do is look at the writings, look at the drawings. This was demonic in nature, what happened yesterday. It was. But they'll blame the guns. They will. They will. And get ready for it because that narrative is not going anywhere. That's going to dominate until the midterms in 2026. It's the only thing the Democrats can stand on. They can't go at Donald Trump for bringing down crime. But they can say, well, if you cared so much about crime, why haven't you done anything about gun violence? Get ready for the pivot. That's coming. And we saw it happening in real time yesterday. Gavin Newsom, he's running for president. Everybody knows he's running for president. He's posted pictures on his own social media account that says Gavin 2028. He's immediately politicizing what happened in Minneapolis. Breitbart News has the story, and they posted Gavin Newsom, not even waiting for the blood to dry, posting tweets like this. We cannot even make it through the first week of school without mass shootings, and the GOP will continue to do absolutely nothing while our kids are being gunned down. This is sick. Again, I'll point back to some great reporting by the Daily Wire that we covered moments ago that said, you know what was asked of the Democrats? A few $1 million to fortify all of their schools, public and not public, charter schools as well, Jewish schools, Muslim schools, Christian schools, in the direct aftermath of the Covenant shooting. And what were they met with from this Democratic leadership? Crickets. It was crickets. They didn't get anything. They didn't get any money to fortify these schools. They didn't get what they asked for. So when Gavin Newsom jumps out and says, the GOP will continue to do absolutely nothing, like the Democratic leadership in Minnesota did when these groups were asking for money to fortify the schools. Got it. It's also tiresome. You could almost do this without even looking at any of the liberal talking points. I probably could have laid out all the liberal talking points far in advance because it's always the same thing. It's also tiresome, and they never address the real issue. It's not about guns. It's about mental health. Byron Donalds was on with Laura Ingraham last night, and Byron Donalds, he's running for governor in Florida. He's my pick over Casey DeSantis. I think he's solid. I've met him, and he's a good guy, and he's got a good handshake, and that goes a long way with me. But he talks about what the real issue is last night on Laura Ingraham.
The tragedy that occurred today in Minneapolis is once again where the Democrats are ignoring some of the serious mental health challenges affecting young people in the United States, especially around gender identity, this transgender movement that they have fully gotten behind. On a broader level as a country, we have to take mental health much more seriously. I mean, look at the magazines, what was written on these magazines, talking about going after Christians. Where is your God? Going after Israel. Actually writing there to kill Donald Trump. This is the insanity from the hatred that has come from the left.
I mean, he's not wrong. Those are all leftist talking points.
And so if they want to now come out and be mad at people who are trying to sympathize and empathize with the families, and especially the families of these two young kids that were lost, they need to re-examine everything about their party.
Yep.
It's not the time for politics. It's about comforting the families who have lost two young kids and then examining all the public policy so that this doesn't happen again. And I will tell you, once again, this is not about guns. This is about mental health issues that the radical left refuses to acknowledge comes from their crazy ideology, which is damaging so many children in the United States who are now becoming young adults.
He's not wrong. He's not wrong at all. That's exactly what's happening. Let's go to Joni in Columbia. What's up, Joni?
Hi. You just said something about medication being an issue. Is that an issue because of the medications, or because they're not taken, or because they're not taken appropriately?
I think it could be a combination of both. I think it could be a combination of misdiagnosis and prescribing the wrong medication. I think it could be how quickly the doctors want to push pills down people's throats. I think it could be a guy that had the right prescription and stopped taking them. I think that all of those things could be true. I'm not trying to demonize medication. I think that there are times when you can make the argument that it's useful and it's needed. But I think a lot of these doctors just throw the meds at these people like they're Skittles. And it's like throwing spaghetti against the wall to see what sticks. And they're like, oh, well, if this medicine doesn't work, come back in 2 weeks and we'll try something else. And then all of a sudden you're on this rat wheel of trying all these different medications, and it's not good for your brain.
And they don't do follow-up, and they don't do talk therapy or any other therapies that need to happen to go with that medication. I'm somebody who takes medication for depression and anxiety and have for years, and it has helped me a lot, along with talk therapy and prayer and support from my family and walking. Oh, sorry, I'll stop walking. Walking is part of what I do to try to help with my mental health and feeling good. And so there's so much in addition to the medication.
You're absolutely right. I mean, one of the quickest ways that you can fix depression is physical activity. Going out and exercising and working that out. A good diet. You put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. That helps. All of those things play a part. And I'm not here to demonize anybody taking these medications or anything like that, but I think that we have an epidemic of misdiagnoses, or were the parents paying attention? Did the kid go off the meds? I mean, all of these are questions that deserve answers.
Right. And I didn't think I wanted to understand what you were saying. And you're right as far as the diet. I'm going to go to kids at school. Kids at school come to school and they're eating those hot potato chips, and they're eating junk all night long, and they're eating junk for lunch, and they're going to act up, you know? And so it's the whole gamut of, people. It's the little guys, it's the young adults. And I agree that trans is a mental health issue, and I hate that the DSMV took it and changed it.
Me too. I mean, could you imagine if one of my kids became schizophrenic, and instead of doing everything I could to help them rid themselves of that condition, I said, you know what? This is a good thing. Let's dive in and learn more about your other personalities.
Right. And that's totally wrong.
That'd be abuse. That'd be abuse. The same way I think giving a child puberty blockers or surgery is abuse.
Yeah. Yeah. All of it comes together with family support, talking, like I said, talk therapy, and then the medications come into play in many cases, some not, but it all needs to be looked at together, and they need to see the doctor frequently to make sure it's all working together. It's a big bag of, many many things to do to deal with the problem.
Yeah, and I think you can also make the argument that this is spiritual in nature too. I think that there's a strong lack of God in this country, and
there is.
that there's a vacuum that's created, and it's going to be filled by something. Whether you're a leftist and then you turn to the government, or whether you're an unhinged lunatic and you turn to the internet, that ideology it's going to be filled with something.
Mm-hmm. And we as Christians need to be out. We need prayer.
Yep.
Everybody needs
Amen.
to pray. But we need to be out trying to do something. You know, if there's a gathering, like there was a gathering at our library. So I showed up. It was, there was something about a major drag queen story hour at some library. So the libraries were going to have a story hour that was, you know, low key and spiritual. And I went to that. And so there's things out there that we can go do. But we need to be getting up and going and doing things.
Yep. I hear you, Joni.
Definitely needed.
Yep.
But we need to do things.
I agree with that. And I appreciate you listening, Joni. Thank you for the call. Let's go to Karen in the borough who has some thoughts on one Trey Gowdy. What's up, Karen?
Sharon.
What's up, Sharon?
Yes. Okay. So I am so loving that you're talking about this issue with Trey Gowdy, because I've been saying for years that he's such a on the fence rhino, whatever.
Yep.
Because think back when he's like a little chihuahua, as Ken Weaver would say, Jahooey hooey. Trey Gowdy is like all bark and no bite. He yapped about Benghazi and the Benghazi investigation and yappy, but never did anything about it. And I was just like so frustrated with that. And then when Russiagate, he supported the FBI.
He said the FBI did everything by the book.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That didn't age well. Those comments didn't age well. A couple weeks ago, he said that there's different kinds of accountability as opposed to handcuffs in jail time when it comes to the Russiagate hoaxers.
Yes. I mean, he sounded like James Clapper.
Yeah, honestly.
Really.
Honestly, I said, I made the comments like if you had a transcript of what he said and you had a transcript of what a liberal on MSNBC said, and I said, tell me which one was said on MSNBC, nobody would know.
Yes. So, I mean, he's been doing this for a long time, and I would get so frustrated at people, I would vote for, Gowdy for president. I'm thinking, no, why? Do you pay attention to what he says and what he doesn't do?
Yep.
I mean, it's just crazy.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm with you, Sharon, and I appreciate the call as always. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the show. If you're just joining the show, these are the comments from Trey Gowdy that Sharon was just referencing.
Our system is reactive. Something bad happens, we react to it. And what people are crying for now is how can we prevent this? How can we stop it? And the only way to stop it is to identify the shooter ahead of time or keep the weapons out of their hands. And so we're going to have a conversation of freedom versus protecting children. I mean, how many school shootings does it take before we're going to have a conversation about keeping firearms out? It's always a young white male.
You going to buy Trey Gowdy's book? It's available. It's available for pre-order right now. Hard pass. I am going to try and get him on the show, though. I'm going to tell him that I want to help promote his book. I'm going to send him a nice email this afternoon.
Almost always. I mean, did anyone this morning think, I wonder if that was a female?
This guy. You getting that book? I'm not getting that book. We'll get more of your phone calls on the way. Plus, Brink Fiddler from Defense Systems is going to be joining the show, giving us some tips, giving us some practical things that we can do if we find ourselves in these situations, plus breaking down the latest of what we know happened in Minneapolis. It's 1021. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Back to school season is in full swing, and Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling is bringing the buzz with some big savings and sweet giveaways. Hey, it's Chris Hand for my friends at Busy Bee. I'm a Beehive Club member. You should be too. These guys are the best. If you got septic issues right now, don't wait. You can get 15% off any septic work, main drain lines, or whole home repipes just in time for that new school year. How about this? Upgrade your HVAC system, maybe even kicking the can all summer long. I did that one summer. I'm not knocking you. I've done it. But if you do it right now and you replace that system, you'll be entered to win the Healthy Hive giveaway. That's a $1,500 sponsorship to the local school of your choice. And here's a gift sweeter than a red apple. You become a Beehive Club member, and you can gift a free membership to a local teacher, coach, or faculty member. Buy one, gift one. It's that simple. All this and more from our friends at Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Cooling. Give them a call today, 615-775-7833. That's 615-775-7833, or find them online, busybeehvac.com.
Well, as you can imagine, Minneapolis still in shock over the events of yesterday at a Catholic church. We'll have the latest update and some positive economic data out there. We'll share that with you. That's coming up at the bottom of the hour on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Jay Harper in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. The show is brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners. You can get those at betterwater.com. Taking your calls, your comments on what transpired yesterday in Minneapolis. Let's go to Mike in Nashville. What's up, Mike? How we doing, man? Mike.
Okay, yeah. How you doing, Chris?
All right.
Hey,
I thought we were going to have to do a wellness check on you, Mike. You all right?
Yeah, I'm all right, brother. Yeah, I was driving. I'm a truck driver.
Yeah, I know. I'm just giving you grief. I'm giving you grief, Mike.
Yeah, you caught me at a bad time. Stuck in this traffic. But yeah, Chris, hey, before I get started, man, I know you a family man and I'm a family man.
Yes, sir.
I want to say this. With the dangers that these schools are in right now, because it wasn't like that when I went to school. We used to leave the windows open, the front door open.
Yep.
We didn't. That was the last thing on my mind when I went to school was about some shooter. So I encourage everybody, because in the morning before your kids leave to school, give your kids a hug and tell them that you love them, because you never know, that 8 and the 10-year-old kid that got killed yesterday, they'll never see their parents again. And
well, I disagree with that. If they got good faith in Jesus Christ, they will meet again. If they follow the Lord, they absolutely will meet again. But I understand what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
I'm talking about in this realm.
Yep,
in this realm that we live in right now.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
So tell your kids you love them. Tell your kids that you appreciate them, because, like I said, these things are dangerous. The video of that guy is very disturbing. I've seen another video today. This guy has the rifles laying on the bed, the 3 guns that he went to the school with. This guy here was a sick individual. I don't know if you know it or not, but he was taking target practice with a picture of Jesus Christ.
Yep.
On the cross.
Yeah, I mentioned it, and then they tell us we have no idea what the motive is.
Yeah. It was definitely motivated by Christianity. The guy was a devil worshiper. He was into satanic things. You can look at some of the video and the audio. But I blame this on his parents, Chris. It goes back to his mother. Because, first of all, they knew the boy had problems, and they even enabled him by allowing him to change his name to Robin instead of Robert. Instead of telling the boy that you are a male. If you got the male part, if you don't have a female part, you are not a female.
Preach.
It's just that simple. It's not that hard to figure out. And his parents should have told him that, and she should have got the boy some help. But here's the problem I have, Chris. You can't tell me that you can live under the same roof as a kid and not know what this kid is up to. You mean to tell me she didn't know that her son had mental problems, that he had 3 guns in his possession, and that he had dark ideas and dark past? There is no way that his mother could not have known. No, she didn't know he was going to go to a church and do something like that, but she had to know that the boy had serious problems, and she should have alerted authorities or somebody to get this guy off the street before he hurt somebody. So I'm encouraging all parents out there. I know that's the hardest thing to do, because it'd be hard for me to do, Chris. But if you see any signs of your child having problems, mental problems, or you think your child might be capable of having a school shooting or something like that, you need to alert authorities.
Absolutely.
It's the best thing to do before your son or daughter ends up dead or ends up taking somebody else's life. It's just that simple, because this is ridiculous that kids can't even go. That was the first day of class for those kids, and that's the way they got to start their school year off, with 2 of their classmates getting killed. It shouldn't happen in America, and it's disgusting that we even talking about this. And one other thing I want to say right quick, Chris, I want you, if you over the last 10 to 12 years that these shootings have been happening, if they put a picture of all the kids that have been shot and killed in these mass shootings around America, and it's a damn shame to see how many photographs of all the young lives that have been lost before they were even 21 years of age that are in the graveyard right now. And like you said before, Chris, that's the hardest thing for a parent to do, is to bury your own child.
Yep.
Thank you for taking my call.
Hey, you're absolutely right, Mike, and I appreciate it as always. 615-737-9986 if you want to join the show. I got time for one more call. Let's go to Bill in Manchester real quick. What do you got, Bill?
Chris, the little bit I've read about people who are going through transformations there, I found out that the large majority are depressed. They're giving them antidepressants, and a huge part of the side effects of antidepressants, you get more depressed, suicidal, and angry. So they're making these kids more angry. And quickly, to the people who think the answer to this is take away everybody's guns. That's how the Germans couldn't stand up against the Nazis. That's why the communists couldn't stand up against Russia and China. They took away people's private ownership to guns.
There's many examples in history of a government taking away the guns, and what follows is usually genocide. That's usually what follows. It's 10:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Good morning. It is 10:30, and I'm Jay Harper with your top story. Stand by for the latest weather forecast. A Minneapolis community still in shock after a deadly shooting, leaving 2 children dead and 17 others wounded when a gunman opened fire at Annunciation Catholic Church during a back-to-school mass yesterday, then taking his own life. Patrick Scowlin lives nearby, and he rushed to the scene after hearing gunshots And he tells ABC News he focused on 3 injured children, a boy and a girl shot in the head and another shot in the neck.
They were very frightened. They wanted their mom and dad, and I sat them down and just tried to keep them calm, and I was watching them close to see if there'd be any change in their status.
Scallon, along with his children and his grandchildren, all attended the school there. Better news out of revised GDP data. The Commerce Department reporting the U.S. economy growing at a 3.3% pace from April to June, about 0.3% higher than initially estimated. The upshot from Bank Rate Chief Financial Analyst Greg McBride as he joined ABC News.
The upward revision is for good news because consumer spending was stronger. It's still a number that's very much exaggerated by trade, the same way the first quarter contraction was exaggerated to the downside. So the reality is the economy probably nets out somewhere in the middle at about a 2% annual growth rate, net of inflation.
Back here in Middle Tennessee, a car belonging to a woman in her 80s who had been missing since April of this year was found recently with a body inside. According to Shelbyville police, the car was recently found in Normandy Lake after officials were led to the area, which was the last known cell phone ping location of 84-year-old Sarah Paget. When police got there, they found a submerged vehicle with a plate that had belonged to Paget. After police retrieved the vehicle, they found a body inside and took the body to the medical examiner's office for identification. The vehicle was taken to TBI, and it will be forensically examined there. Shelbyville police say that they will continue to investigate and provide more updates once they are made available. That is the latest news. Weather's up next. I'm Jay Harper, WTN News.
Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here for the Wellness Institute of Nashville, and I got to ask you a question. Are you tired of the back pain, the neck pain, and the knee pain ruining your life? I mean, it's a silly question. Of course you are. But have you heard of the Big Daddy Trump special? This is $12 from the Wellness Institute of Nashville. It's going to get you a full exam, x-rays if needed, and a well-explained diagnosis, plus your first treatment for only $12. Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley, they're not going to give up on fixing your pain, just like President Trump never gave up on America, and they want to fix it for good, no matter what you're dealing with. Back pain, neck pain, sciatica, numbness, bulging discs. They'll treat it all. And they'll treat it without surgery, without injections, and without painkillers. It doesn't sound too good to be true. They do this all the time. They're going to use non-surgical spinal decompression, robot lasers, and anti-gravity machines. This is going to change everything. Grab your MRI, get ready to finally understand your condition, and fix it. 615-246-5009. That's 615-246-5009, or find them online at painisbad.com. It's 10:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. You can listen to the show anywhere, iHeartRadio, tune in the FM dial. You can watch the show, YouTube, Rumble, hit like, hit subscribe. I'm really excited about the next guest that we have in studio here because he's got inside information on how these situations unfold and what you need to do to keep yourself safe. We will podcast this segment so that way you can share it with a friend or a loved one. This is a conversation that you're definitely going to want to hear. Joined in studio, Brink Fiddler of Defense Systems. What's up, Brink?
Having me on?
Yeah, absolutely, man. We're happy to have you here. I think real quick, what is Defense Systems? What do you do and what's your background? Just so that way we can kind of lay the foundation for what you do and how you do it.
Sure. Most of what we do is active violence mitigation training. Schools, corporations, healthcare, law firms, community centers, you name the organization type. I mean, yesterday we were training a large home builder in the area. We've trained music venues. We've trained healthcare facilities, just all over the board. Our heart is certainly in schools, and that's probably our biggest vertical. We're over 320 schools now across the U.S. that we've trained.
That's awesome.
And then we do a lot of security consulting around physical security products, things like that to help harden the buildings. And then we do some law enforcement and armed response training as well, or all around the same topic, though.
And how'd you get into this? What's your background?
I was with Metro Nashville Police for 18 years, most of that here in narcotics work, which, the way I equate that to what we're doing now is, in narcotics work, you get paid to break in places every single day, right? You get paid to defeat security every single day. A lot of people think forcefully, and that's true, but also sometimes surreptitiously if you have to sneak in and install some sort of device, tracking device, listening device, whatever that is. So when it's your job to defeat kind of all the security out there forcefully or surreptitiously, it helps you look at physical security differently. But really, kind of more important than that, you think about what narcotics operators, any kind of tactical operator, SWAT or special operations or whatever, think about what their goals are when they get to building. The goals are similar as that active shooters have. What I mean by that is once we're through the door, both good guys and bad guys are trying to cover as much ground as quickly as possible with a very offensive weapon, and we're trying to dominate that space. So when I did that for so long, I learned very quickly, once I was through the door and in the building, what slowed me down, what caused problems for me or got in my way as that guy. And so the curriculum we developed is largely based on that experience and slowing them down and making things harder for them.
As you're looking at the situation that happened yesterday, and thanks for the breakdown on your career and how you got into this field, but as you're looking at what happened yesterday, are there any huge glaring red flags that you instantly see based on your training as to what they did wrong, what they could have done better, how it transpired? What are you seeing?
I'm not seeing any huge red flags. I think I said in an interview yesterday that, when you have somebody attack from outside the building like that, obviously the people inside the building knowing what to do is huge, right? Because it's, we're talking most of the carnage being done in those 3 to 6 minutes. Well, what are we doing in that 3 to 6 minutes? But, for outside the building, do we have force to meet force? I mean, and a lot of people don't love hearing that. And a lot of people, especially churches, don't love hearing that they need a good guy with a gun. But when you're talking any kind of crowded environment, so church sanctuary, cafeteria at school, gymnasium, you can't evacuate it. It's impossible, right? It's chaos. It's the only answer in a crowded environment is having force to meet force. You have to have somebody to shoot back, right? And it doesn't look like they had that. I mean, from everything I've read so far, there was no armed security presence. A lot of people think an armed security presence is also preventative. It depends on the shooter. We've seen instances where that has worked. We know the Pulse nightclub shooter in Orlando actually targeted a Disney property first and turned around when he saw all the armed security and went and hit the nightclub. What we see with our younger shooters is it doesn't tend to move the needle because they don't care if there's an SRO there or not, or because you're all emotion at that age anyway. They plan to die or whatever. So in this case, it doesn't look like they had that. It sounds like that faculty and staff on the inside of the sanctuary took action pretty quick as far as moving the kids go. It sounds like they put them under pews, which I get, but there's some more things to that I probably don't want to put out just to the whole world, but probably could have been done better because, not just good guys listen to the radio, right?
Yeah.
So I don't want to put too much out there about it, but It sounds like we're pretty lucky though that we only lost 2.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, by the grace of God.
Amen.
What could, I see a story from the Daily Wire that they had requested a lot more funding.
Okay.
Is funding always the answer in these situations?
Well, I mean, everything in security costs money. I mean, there's certain things you can do as far as policies and procedures go that don't cost anything, like i.e. locking the sanctuary down after mass starts, which I'm reading reports that was the case. As you and I talked about off air, though, well, I'm confused then if the shooter ended up in the back of the sanctuary taking his own life, then how did he get in the building if it was locked? So I don't.
And there were also reports that he barricaded the door originally, but it seems like those have kind of started to disappear.
Well, and I heard mixed reviews on that too. That which side of the doors the barricades were on. That was confusing. So was it the church that began to barricade the doors from the inside, or out? Virginia Tech, the shooter did that, and that was pretty significant because at Virginia Tech at Norris Hall, he actually used chains and padlocks, but chained the 3 main doors to the hall closed. And most of law enforcement, especially at that time in 2007, don't have breaching tools. They don't. And if you're not SWAT or narcotics or gangs or whatever, you're not going to have the tools to go do a bunch of breaching. So in that instance, it caused a huge issue with law enforcement being able to get in the building. In this case, if he did that, I mean, that's it's not unheard of, but it's not super common. And it obviously goes more to mindset. But we already know he did a bunch of planning, right? I'm sure you've seen online
the manifesto.
Yeah, and the reconnaissance, right? He had a diagram of the inside of the church, and so he had done his homework and had done recon to know what it looked like in there. I mean, just the same thing she did at Covenant. She went and did a recon and drew a map and all those things. So that's not super uncommon in these scenarios. But I will say, him attacking from the outside is not super common. We don't see that very often. But thank God he attacked from the outside, right? Because what I was reading, there's 300-something people in that sanctuary.
Yeah, and he had a rifle, a shotgun, and a handgun.
Yeah, and used all 3. But if he'd been able to get in where you really can't get out very well in those situations, we'd be talking about a whole different scenario.
It's crazy.
Yep.
If you are a church owner out there, or you own a small school and you don't have this huge budget, are there things you can do today to make sure that your area, your school, your church is safer than it was yesterday?
Oh, certainly. I mean, that goes back to policy and procedure. So, and I struggle with this. I struggle with this. I have conflict with some of our clients over this, especially churches. It depends on the type of church and it depends on who's in charge, but a lot of them don't want to lock the doors after service begins. I don't think, and I understand why in the Catholic Church they do this, but I don't think an all-school mass should be open to the public. But most are. Now, okay, it's just a lot of exposure, right? You have your most vulnerable population exposed to anybody and everybody who wants to walk in there. And you may know the parishioner. That's great, but you don't know, you know what I mean? Like this, we've had so many instances where the shooter has already been in the building and then just opened fire. So I don't think they should be open to the public. I also am a firm believer that if we're not going to lock all the doors after service starts, all but one need to be locked, and we need to have our safety team positioned at that door, or our armed presence at that door or near that door to be able to deal with it. And I get it. I mean, from, when I talk to pastors and, they want to be open and welcoming, right? Because, I mean, and we're talking mainly Christian houses of worship, but not all. I mean, I've got others, and they all want to be open and welcoming, right?
Yeah.
And spread the love. And amen. But we can do both. We can be safe and secure also. And I think there's a huge misnomer out there with church leadership that if we start locking all the doors except one, people aren't going to come to church here, and that's just not true.
Yeah,
the data doesn't support it. You'll have.
It seems like a silly argument.
It is a silly argument, because they listen to the loud minority, right? So you'll have that couple that's been going to a church there for 17 years, and I've been parking in that spot for 17 years, and now I got to walk all the way around the building. Okay, yeah, you do. And are you going to lose a church member? Maybe over this. Okay, but I mean.
Would you rather lose a church member over the locked door or lose a church member because of a situation that you could have fixed?
Right. Yeah. So that's just a policy and procedure thing. developing a safety team, that doesn't cost any money. Now you need to do that a certain way. You don't want to just, get a bunch of cowboys together that have carry permits and hope it all works out for the best. We do a lot of armed response training, and we jokingly say that spray and pray is not a good idea, even in church.
Right.
I mean, that's just not a good idea. Yeah. There needs to be a plan. But developing a safety team, it doesn't cost any money to do that. It needs to be done well. And if there are church leadership listening, I'll say this: it doesn't need to come from you. It does not need to come from the pastor, because it's divisive. I mean, it just is. It doesn't matter what church you go to. There's going to be people there that don't love that idea. So it needs to come from like church bulletin. Hey, we're meeting for this, or men's group, or whatever that looks like. Not just men, but y'all understand what I'm saying.
Yep.
It does not need to come from the pulpit. Like, that is super divisive. But just coming from church leadership or whatever that looks like, the administration side of the house is where the development of the team needs to originate. Even if the pastor's involved, it doesn't need to be him pushing the message, I would say, with most. Smaller ones, it's probably fine, but your medium to larger size, no, it doesn't work.
No.
People get mad.
Yeah. But it seems like this is just, it shouldn't be as tricky as people make it.
No. It's certainly not. No. Things like two things that, well, not active shooters aren't the same as most criminals, but most criminals want two things: access and anonymity, right? Like, end of story. So if we're talking about our criminals of opportunity, our thieves and things like that, they want access and anonymity. So, well, what can we do to restrict their access? I mean, it's pretty basic. And then if they want anonymity, then they're not going to love a bazillion surveillance cameras everywhere, right? Or people watching them, and all those things. So the same goes here. I mean, active shooters and people that want to make a name for themselves, they want access to the people. They don't necessarily want anonymity, but they also don't want their plan to be interrupted or stopped before it happens. So what can we do that makes it a harder target? If they say, well, I know 6 people are going to see me before I ever get in that door because I know how they operate. Is there a presence? Your safety team, too, doesn't have to be armed. They need to be outside on a Sunday morning, Wednesday night, whenever you guys are doing church, and they need to be in bright yellow fluorescent vests with a radio. It doesn't even have to say safety team on it or whatever, but there needs to be a presence so that if there is a reconnaissance being done, like this person's case, they see the amount of crap they're going to have to deal with to get in there.
And they don't know that they're not armed.
No clue. And they just know that that's a force multiplier, that I got to deal with all that versus, as bad as it sounds, you want them to go down the street, right? You want to make it less inviting for bad guys, but super inviting for anybody that we're trying to reach as, Christians or whatever, denomination. And, the more people outside greeting people, I mean, that's church, right? I mean, I know where you go to church. I imagine that there's a massive team of people.
Yeah.
Greeters and ushers and safety team and all that, and it probably feels super welcoming. But can you imagine looking at that place as a bad guy and seeing all that and being like, oh my God, I got to deal with all that?
Yeah.
They're not going to,
that's a hard pass.
Amen.
So as you're going through these steps, I notice none of it's political.
Not a bit.
There's no politics at all.
Shouldn't be. We shouldn't be. We should. I was just on the phone with Tracy, who's my VP, and we want everybody alive. Yeah, I don't care what your politics are.
Right?
Like, we don't have to agree. I want you alive. And like, our clients are so broad as far as the political spectrum goes. At the end of the day, we're all human beings. I want everybody alive. There's nothing that there is nothing political about this. Do people obviously do that? Yes, all the time. But there's nothing political about any of this. It's just keeping people safe.
I've also heard, or I didn't hear, that one of your solutions would be taking guns away.
Well, that's just the biggest slippery slope on the planet. And I get asked this in training. Sometimes people want to raise their hand and make that argument, and they want to do it in front of God and everybody. And I don't really go down that road too far. I just say that, there's more guns in the country than there are people. And, the bad news is the bad guys are not going to hand you their guns. That's just the reality of it. And then I shift immediately and say, we focus on things where we can move the needle, because that you can't tell me that's going to move the needle. It's just not. We have no way. It's too late. Like, if you wanted to do that massive gun control, we're way too late. Like, you can forget it.
Ship sailed.
Yep. Oh my God, decades ago in this country. So let's focus on somewhere we can actually move the needle, and that is not a place we can.
We're talking with Brink Fiddler from Defend Systems. He's a great guy, 18 years of experience in the Metro Nashville Police Department. He is training dozens upon dozens of churches and schools on how to answer this violent threat should it become present in your space. And I wanted to ask you about some tips for young kids. You know, I got 3 young kids I have that are all in school. I have 4 total, but 3 that are in school, an 11-year-old, an 8-year-old, a 6-year-old. And on the other side of the break, I want to get the advice that you should give kids that age, because there's one way to train adults, but what can we tell our kids?
Sure.
So when we get back, I want to talk to you about that. It's 10:53. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris And here from my friends at Zero Res of Nashville. You heard me talking moments ago. Got a lot of kids, 4 kids. I also got 2 dogs. Do you know what my carpets go through? I mean, you think the summer's bad, and then we get into baseball season, it gets even worse. And there's dirt, there's paw prints, there's mystery stains. We don't want to identify the mystery stains. Nobody wants to know what the mystery stains are. Even the Zero Res guys are like, I don't want to ask. But they show up and they clean them all up. Lickety split, man. And they use exclusive ZR water. No soap, no harsh chemicals, no residue, which means that my carpets and my upholstery, they're not just going to look insanely clean. They're going to stay clean longer. And then I'm not stressed about the kids laying down on the carpet. The dogs are rolling around, and I don't have to worry about what's in the fibers. This could be your life, too. And it's not just carpets. They do air ducts, tile, rugs, upholstery, the works. It's perfect for the back-to-school season when you're finally taking back your home after the summer chaos. It's also going to be perfect after baseball season, in case you're dealing with that as well. Right now in August, you can get 3 rooms for just $109. That's a steal of a deal. All you got to do is call Zero Res of Nashville, 615-535-9376. That's 615-535-9376, or find them online, zeroresnashville.com. It's 10:58, Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, how are you? It's Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. I'm in studio with my friend Brink Fiddler, who runs Defend Systems. It's a violence mitigation company. You guys train schools, you train churches, and you deal with active shooters. How to take the steps to keep yourself safe. And I asked you before the break, what are some tips that you can give young kids, and especially without scaring the crap out of them, right? Like there's a balance here, and I know that you've been doing this for a long time. So if there are parents or grandparents out there, and you got to give your kids some real practical advice that maybe the school's not teaching them, right? Because not every school's plan is going to be as solid as it could be.
That's for sure.
What would you tell a young kid, if you're a parent, on how to stay safe in these situations?
You've been through the training, so you know that ours is an acronym for defend, and the E is evade, right? That's really your first choice. The D is deter, so that's pre-attack. But so the kids need to understand that their first choice, if something like that breaks out, is to evade, is to run, assuming they know the approximate location of the threat, right? Like if you and I are told right now there's a gunman in the building, and that's all we're told. I'm not running out this door and hoping I don't bump into them.
Right.
Assuming they know the approximate location of the threat, leave immediately and teach them how to build layers, meaning it may be more important to turn down that hallway that's 10 feet away instead of trying to get to that exit door that's 40 feet away, but down the same hallway. Because if I stay on that same hallway trying to get that exit door for 40 feet, I'm exposed to the threat behind me 30 feet longer than I need to be, versus I turn down that adjacent hallway at 10 feet. We call it building layers as you move. Cover and concealment, what the difference in those are. Cover stops whatever you're being attacked with, so in this case, bullets. So teach them what cover is. Block walls, brick walls, things like that. Versus concealment, they can't see you. Both are super advantageous. That's on the evade piece. And then if they can't do that, then second for us is fortify, lockdown, whatever you want to call it. But teach them about basic angles of geometry, right? If you're in a room and the bad guy shoots through the door, what part of the room can they not hit? And that's different for every room based on where the door is and how the room's laid out and all those sorts of things. But just have them understand that. It's basic geometry on drawing angles. Like if that's what we keep seeing, is we keep seeing them shoot through doors over and over and over and over. So if we know they're going to do that, then what part of the room you're in can they not hit if they shoot through the door? And teach those kids to understand those concepts. Those are the two biggest. Build layers as you move. Leave immediately and build layers as you move. And know your geometry when it comes to whatever room you're in. Know the angles from that door. We're talking with Brink Fiddler from Defend Systems. Brink, if people want to get a little bit more information and they want to get in on your training, where can they find you? Website's the easiest place. DefendSystems.com. All the contact information is there. Email, contact form, all the social media we're on. We're pretty easy to find. Man, you do a great job. I couldn't recommend your training any more than I do, because I tell everybody about it. I learned so much during your training, and I'm eternally grateful for it. Seriously, just knowing what to do in these kind of situations, it's invaluable. I hope I never have to use it. Amen. But God forbid I do. I'm ready, and I think that you guys should be ready too. DefendSystems.com if you want to learn more about Brink and what his team does, and we'll be back with more momentarily. It's 11:02. This is Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Thank you, Brink. Yeah, you nailed that one.
I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Drivers, heads up. We've got an intersection closed in Franklin. This is going to be Highway 96 at the Natchez Trace Bridge. Apparently closed for an unknown amount of time and not really any reason given for that. So just keep that on mind if you're headed that way. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Well, the Federal Reserve might cut interest rates next month. Bankrate Chief Financial Analyst Greg McBride telling ABC News that could influence, or rather what could influence, the central bank either way.
If we do see continued deterioration in the labor market, that's going to clinch a rate cut in September. But if the labor market evens out, it's not that bad, but inflation's still poking us in the ribs, that's going to warrant more of this wait-and-see posture from the Fed.
And better news out of the revised GDP data. The Commerce Department reporting the U.S. economy growing at a 3.3% pace from April to June, about 3% higher than initial estimates.
The upward revision is for good news because consumer spending was stronger. It's still a number that's very much exaggerated by trade, the same way the first quarter contraction was exaggerated to the downside. So the reality is the economy probably nets out somewhere in the middle at about a 2% annual growth rate, net of inflation.
Any reason to worry about President Trump's move to fire Fed Board Governor Lisa Cook?
If markets do start to see compromising the Fed's independence as a real risk, you'd have a full-on freak out in markets. We wouldn't be talking about a stock market that hit a record high yesterday and bond yields that have been moving lower in recent days. It'd be a decidedly different story. So the risk is out there. So far, it's still seen as a low probability.
Yeah, Cook has filed a lawsuit challenging President Trump's intent to fire her this week. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
It's 11:06 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. The show's brought to you by Better Water LLC, water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. I don't want to spend the whole show on what happened in Minneapolis, but I do want to bring you this piece of news breaking just about an hour ago. RFK Jr. announcing the Trump administration health apparatus is going to be investigating the drugs we are putting transgender people on, SSRIs and other psychiatric drugs, to find any links to violence. I'd be careful. You turn that rock over, we kind of know what's going to be exposed. But I'm grateful to the Trump administration for doing this. It's long overdue. Way long overdue. In the meantime, the Democrat Party continues to flounder. They have no idea what they're doing, other than the fact that they need to pay off the $15 million in debt left behind by Kamala Harris's failed 107-day presidential campaign. $15 million in debt. She raised $2 billion over 100 days, and she left $15 million in debt. The Democrat Party doesn't know where to go. They're going to sink their teeth into gun control. Get ready for that. That's going to be the new narrative because they can't focus anywhere else. When they talk about Donald Trump is militarizing D.C. and he's, oh my gosh, can you believe it? Can you believe it? And then you hear the Democrat mayor of D.C. Go to a press conference the other day and thank Donald Trump. They're losing the plot. And she did just that. Muriel Bowser, Muriel Bowser.
You got it right the first time, man.
Mayor Muriel.
Muriel Bowser.
It sounds like a Mario villain. She looks like a Mario villain. Anyway, she thanked Trump for his help.
And we greatly appreciate the surge of officers that enhance what MPD has been able to do in this city.
What? I thought he was a tyrannical dictator and he was a fascist or fascist, depending on which protester you listen to. That's what I was told. I thought Orange Man bad. King Trump sending the military to all of our cities. Mayor Bowser likes it. She's actually a fan.
The most significant thing that we are highlighting today is the area of crime that was most troubling for us in 2023. Now, we have driven it down over the last years.
Yeah, with manipulating the stats. We know that part.
But I'm going to get my glasses so I can make sure I can see it correctly.
Put the glasses on. These stats are too good not to have the glasses on. We can't have you flubbing the stats.
Carjackings, the difference between this period, this 20-day period of this federal surge and last year represents a 87% reduction in carjackings.
Is that good? Hey, Ken, you know numbers. Would an 87% reduction in carjacking, would you classify that as good?
I would classify that as significantly good.
This is why he's the award-winning news guy. He knows.
Checks in the mail.
Washington, D.C. We know that when carjackings go down, when the use of gun goes down, when homicide or robbery go down, neighborhoods feel safer and are safer.
Oh, so what Trump is doing is working. It's working. Yet the mainstream media is refusing to acknowledge what Mayor Muriel, what she acknowledged there. She's acknowledging it, but Abby Phillips on CNN last night, she had a tough time acknowledging it. Scott Jennings helped her along. He did, which I love. I love Scott Jennings, man. He's the best. He's the best thing on CNN. I think the only reason they have viewers on Abby Phillips' show is Scott Jennings. But she doesn't want to admit what Mayor Bowser is willing to admit, that Donald Trump's actions have helped. She doesn't want to admit that. Abby Phillips, CNN, last night.
Also because the military serves a role to protect Americans, not to be used against Americans.
Exactly. You keep saying used against Americans. What kind of Americans do you mean? The ones that are murdering us, carjacking us, raping us, terrorizing our cities? I mean, you're saying like he's creating an actual war against American citizens when what he's actually creating is a war against criminals and, by the way, illegal aliens who they are rounding up by the bucket load in Washington.
I want to let Ellie speak, but I mean, look, I'm not saying he's creating a war against American citizens.
You literally said he was militarizing the streets. This network has called him a fascist, a dictator. You've had other mayors saying that they're going to stand up against the tyranny of Donald Trump. Now it's like, whoa, hold on. You made a great point. I'm not saying that. What are you saying then, Abby?
But I also think that, first of all, when you have, large amounts of armed military personnel on the streets, they're going to encounter a lot of Americans who've done nothing wrong. And those Americans have rights, as do the Americans who have done things wrong, just to be clear. But Americans who have done nothing wrong will get caught up and have gotten caught up in this.
Oh. Can you cite a source? Nah, they don't do that. They don't do that over at CNN. It's more of a gut feeling kind of a thing from Abby Phillips. But you talk to the locals in D.C. and they love it. They love what's happening. Even the Democratic leadership understands what's happening. Abby's having a tough time. Would you like more illegal aliens in your city? Would you like more crime? It seems like some Democratic leadership is arguing for that. We have Democratic leadership here in Tennessee. And you know what we have in Tennessee? More illegal alien crime. This story was from Tuesday. Illegal immigrant accused of killing a woman and injuring her fiancé in a drunk driving crash in Nashville. Is Mayor Freddie going to find a podium to cry behind for this one? Probably not. Probably not. He saves that for Kilmar. Vanderbilt Medical Center, one of the victims, is still currently fighting for his life. His fiancé did not survive the crash. Family members said drunk driving is never acceptable, and the suspect's immigration status just adds to the tragedy. Raquel Lorena Sarabia Baraja's family said her smile would light up any room. And if you see the pictures of this lady, beautiful girl, should have never lost her life. Family saying very difficult, very painful. I never thought I could have these feelings cause so much pain. The family's telling Fox 17 that she had just moved in with her fiance, and they moved to Nashville. This was months before. Metro Police accused Julio Cesar Herrera Gonzalez of crashing into them. The crash killed Lorena and sent Marco to a nearby hospital. Marco, he's really fighting, like really bad. I mean, he's got a lot of concussions on his head. We don't know if he gets out, if he's going to be able to have mobility. 2 lives ruined by another illegal alien. This one hitting so close to home. And Democrats will say, we don't need any help. We don't need any help. Nashville's fine. Memphis is fine. Chicago's great. Detroit, don't worry about it. Philadelphia, just stay away from Kensington. You don't have anything to worry about. But the reality is that when you put the National Guard into these cities, things change. Things change rather quickly, rather dramatically, and we need more of it. ICE is not messing around. Did you see a video of them? They pulled this guy out of a courthouse in New York City, and illegal alien, and ICE is just plowing through reporters. And listen to this.
Go.
I mean, they got this guy by the arms and by the cuff of the shirt, and they're flying down this hallway to bring an illegal alien into custody. We need more of this in this country. You know, Scott Jennings earlier, we played the clip, and he was talking, we're getting illegal aliens by the bucket load. And it's like, got to get those numbers up. Hey, I got an update on Judge Hannah Dugan. You remember Judge Hannah Dugan? She was the judge that was arrested for allowing the illegal alien to sneak out of her courtroom, distracting ICE agents to give this guy time to get out. They let him sneak out of a jury door as opposed to the regular exit. Luckily, an ICE agent saw him, and they did apprehend this agent. But Judge Hannah Dugan has lost her legal effort to dismiss these federal charges against her for helping that illegal alien. Local news in Milwaukee has the call.
First time we're seeing Judge Hannah Dugan outside her courtroom April 18th wearing her black robes, appearing to confront several federal agents there to arrest Eduardo Flores Ruiz, a Milwaukee man and Mexican national charged locally with 3 counts of domestic battery. This video, released by Milwaukee County through an open records request, is part of the evidence in the case against Judge Dugan, who's charged with obstructing a federal investigation concealing Flores Ruiz, allowing him to leave her courtroom by a different door after sending the agents to speak to the chief judge.
There's no way she gets off on this. There is too much evidence that's going to just pin her down. She lost her appeal again. She lost her legal effort to dismiss these federal charges, and we're going to see what happens to her in a court of law.
Flores Ruiz, dressed in black with his attorney, is seen in several of the videos leaving by that other door. One prosecutors say was used by jurors and not open to the public. As he leaves, though, he is seen in the hallway, followed by another agent. As Flores Ruiz gets into the elevator to leave, the agent slips in as well. According to the criminal complaint against Dugan, that agent followed them down. The agent seen here following out of the building downstairs, and once backup arrived, they tried to arrest Flores Ruiz, who another video shows ran north in front of the courthouse for nearly a block before agents caught up with him and arrested him.
And I'm glad they did. I mean, this guy, 3-time domestic abuser, 3 times. He's an illegal alien in this country, beating up women, and Democrats say, no. He's a newcomer. He's just undocumented, and he needs to stay. Can you believe the audacity of these people? Like, Judge Hannah Dugan knew the charges against this monster, and she still decided to impede ICE. well, she's gonna see her day in court.
Federal agents arrested Dugan herself a week later.
Eduardo Flores-Ruiz's domestic violence case is moving through the Milwaukee County Court. He is, however, in federal custody on his immigration arrest. The FBI arrested Judge Dugan at the county courthouse 1 week later on April 25th. She pleaded not guilty in a federal court last week.
Judge Dugan, your response.
That's Dugan exiting the federal courthouse after an arraignment last week. Her legal team filed a motion to dismiss the case, calling it unconstitutional and saying that she is entitled to judicial immunity. A judge set a tentative trial date for July 21st.
Unconstitutional. Judicial immunity. You helped a spouse abuser, a guy that beats up women, sneak out of a courtroom. Oh, I have judicial immunity. Oh. No, you don't. You don't. You're going to see your day in court. That's a positive update. I'd like to see more judges arrested, personally. I think that a lot of these judges are just really on that line of impediment. Mayors, too. Looking at you, Karen Bass. But the judges especially. It's insane. Did you see what's happening with Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the judge that is saying that he can't be deported to Uganda? Judge Zinnis, Obama appointee. Yep. Kilmar's having a tough time. He's having a tough time. Do you hear what his attorney said? His attorney said that he's gonna have to have years of therapy to recover from the trauma, that he's been through. The human trafficking MS-13 gang member. He's gonna need therapy.
I wonder what he has shared with you about that ordeal, including his time at that Salvadoran prison, Sacat. What has all of this been like?
I think his family has suffered immeasurably, and I think it will take many years, including therapy, for him to move past what he suffered. He released his statement about what he went through our filings, and I think they speak for itself. I mean, he suffered unimaginable hardships, physical harm. Wow.
Oh, hey, Leviticus, I know you're filling information, but can you find the sad violin on the button bar for me? There's every now and again we come across these comments from radical, unhinged leftists, and it needs a little sad violin. I think it's on page 2, page 3. It's a sad violin. It's the saddest of all the instruments, and it really adds the heightened pain to these statements. I know I'm calling an audible here on the fly, but you never know when you're going to need sad violin. And sometimes it's the only thing a situation warrants is sad violin. He's looking. Leviticus is like, he's rolling through these pages. You got it? All right. Cue up the sad violin. Let's listen to this again with a little bit of sad violin.
I think his family has suffered immeasurably, and I think it will take many years, including therapy, for him to move past what he suffered. He released his statement about what he went through our filings, and I think they speak for itself. I mean, he suffered unimaginable hardships, physical harm while there.
Yeah, it hits. That slaps, actually. Well, hope they have therapists in Uganda. It's 11:22 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. Hey, what's up? It's Chris Hand here from my friends at Better Water. Talk about these guys all the time. Love these guys. And if your water has weird smells or it's staining the clothes in the wash machine or just plain bad tasting at your house or your office, these are the guys you need to call. Think about it like installing a giant Brita filter for your entire house or office. Or you can get one scaled down that fits just underneath the sink, and any of that water coming out of the faucet is crystal clean. Now, you could have some nasty stuff in your water. And you might be thinking, I'm on city water. I don't have to worry. I got a well. I'm not stressed about that at all. I've heard horror stories about both. Now, here's the bright side. Better Water will test your water for free. And if you got any of the nasty stuff in it, like sulfur, iron, chlorine, bacteria, E. coli, they can clean it up for you so fast. You don't want to be drinking this water. You don't want to be bathing in it. You don't want to bathe your kids or your grandkids in it. So get yourself to Better Water. They'll help you if you have the nasty stuff in it with reverse osmosis, specialized filters, UV lights, you name it. Now, Better Water's a local company. They're based out of Smyrna, and they're already treating the water at the hospitals around town and at the local coffee shops. These guys know what they're doing. It's time for you to stop drinking the junk out of your tap and give Better Water a call today. 615-355-6063. That's 615-355-6063. Or find them online at betterwater.com.
All right, drivers, we've got a crash over by the airport that is really slowing things down on I-40. The crash is blocking the off-ramp right lane. That is the Briley Parkway southbound off-ramp to eastbound I-40. And we've got a patient update from the Minneapolis church shooting yesterday to bring to you. We'll give you the details on that at 11:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
That's Ken Weaver in the newsroom. My name is Chris Hand. It's 11:27 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We always talk about the Democrats being on the wrong side of 80-20 issues, and they choose to do it. They choose to do it all the time. Men and women's sports. Trump said that's not 80-20. That's 97-3. What about crime in major cities? Is it a problem? Democrats say no. Turns out that's a 99-1 issue. Fox News has some new polling. How much of a problem do you think crime is in large cities? Major problem, 81%. Minor problem, 18%. Not a problem, 1%. Democrats have found themselves on the wrong side of a 99-1 issue. Even by Democrat standards, this is pretty eye-opening. Pretty wild. This is again coming from AP Nork Center Public Affairs Research. They surveyed 1,100 U.S. adults from August 21st to 25th, and 99-1. It's 99-1. Democrats say, don't worry about the crime. Worry about the guns. Jacob Fry on CNN talking about Minneapolis. He is the mayor. This guy is so woke that he cried at the golden casket of George Floyd. He's still not woke enough for Minneapolitans. He's not woke enough for them. They're going to replace him with a Somali here soon. But this is him on CNN.
5 years ago was Robert, then a name change to Robin. Okay. This is being seized in all corners, as you can imagine, in all sorts of ways. And you know that, Mayor. And perhaps that's why when you spoke about this so profoundly and powerfully as you are even here now, but when you spoke about this today publicly, you voiced concern for the transgender community, for the community overall. And obviously, you chose to do that in that moment because you thought it was important. And I wanted to give you a chance to say why you felt it was important to do that in that moment.
Before we get to the stunning and brave comments from Mayor Jacob Fry, I'd also like to express a lot of concern for the transgender community. My concern is the drugs that they're being put on, the ideology being pumped into their heads, and I think that we need to help them, but not enable them. You know, if you have an alcoholic in your family, it's not loving to give them $10 to go get a bottle of vodka. It's not. If you have a heroin addict in your family, it's not loving to enable them by giving them $20 to go get a bag of dope. But we're being told that if somebody in your family has a mental illness like gender dysphoria, the loving thing to do is to enable them. That's wrong. That's wrong. I too have concerns for the transgender community. Jacob Fry doesn't. He wants to keep enabling them, and he also wants to take away your guns.
Obviously, I've heard about the rhetoric and the narrative that is being pushed out, but here's the thing. Anybody that is going to use this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any community has lost touch with a common humanity. We got to be operating not out of hate for any group, but out of a love for our children. That's where the focus needs to be right now. A love for our kids, seeing these kids not just as somebody else's kids, this horrific thing happened, but what if it was our own? How would we feel then? So, look, we need to be standing up for every community out there, our Catholic community too, by the way. I mean, any community that suffers this kind of blow or...
Yeah, his solution is to take away your guns. It's the loving thing to do. We got to care for our kids. His solution also, if your kid is transgender, is to allow them to lop off their bits. I don't know how loving that is. It's 11:31. Super Talk, 99.7 WTN.
$11:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories, and the backup is growing due to that crash over there on an off-ramp near the airport. It is blocking the right lane, Briley Parkway southbound to eastbound I-40. Got the full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Dr. Tom Clement, the CEO of Hennepin Healthcare, says the hospital is caring for 9 of the patients from yesterday's shooting there in Minneapolis.
6 of those patients are in satisfactory condition. 5 of those patients are children. We have 2 patients in serious condition, 1 adult and 1 child. And we have 1 child in critical condition presently.
Authorities say the shooter, identified as 23-year-old Robin Westman, born Robert Westman, died by a self-inflicted gunshot wound near the rear of the church. And we're learning he attended the school and his mother worked there as recently as 2021. In Money News, numbers released today show the economy grew 3 times faster in the second quarter than what was first reported. The Commerce Department reporting the nation's output of goods and services expanded at a 3.3% annual pace from April through June after shrinking a 0.5% in the first 3 months of the year. The first quarter drop was mainly because a surge in imports before the Trump tariffs took effect. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. moving forward with changes to the COVID vaccine. We get details from ABC News Chief White House correspondent Mary Bruce.
He is taking steps that could significantly limit access to the COVID vaccine, a vaccine, of course, that was developed during President Trump's first term and that he proudly touted just days ago, calling it, quote, one of the greatest achievements ever in politics. Yesterday, though, the FDA narrowed the scope of people approved for the COVID vaccine this fall to only those over 65 and younger people at a greater risk.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Hey, it's Chris Hand here for my friends at Defense Systems. We had Brink Fiddler on the show earlier giving us a ton of good advice, how you can speak to your kids to deal with these active violence situations. That's what they do at Defense Systems. They train you for these situations should they come up. God forbid they do. And I've personally taken the training from Defense System, and let me tell you, it's incredible. You're going to learn real-life skills that could actually save someone's life. And I hope I never have to use them, but I'm grateful to have these skills. Defense Systems is a life, safety, and security consulting firm, and they specialize in physical security and active violence mitigation training. They've trained everyone from schools and corporations to healthcare facilities, law firms, manufacturing plants, even some of the biggest country music stars on the planet. Here in Nashville, Cumulus has brought them in. We've done the training here, and it's not just checking the box for safety. It's actually giving your employees skills that you can use anywhere, even outside of work. They've trained over 30 Middle Tennessee schools. Has your child's school received this training? I don't think that there's any time like the present to get it done if the answer is no, because active violence events are on the rise, unfortunately, and sometimes this danger spills into everyday places. If you or a loved one were critically injured, would you know what to do? Don't wait until it's too late. Visit defensesystems.com or call 615-236-6484. That's 615-236-6484. That call to Brink Fiddler and Defense Systems could actually save a life. It's 11:37 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. We're getting ready for the lightning round. I got Leviticus filling in for Mason. Mason ditched me for Nashville's morning news today. Did you know that? Did you know that? Hit the like button if you're as upset with Mason as I am on YouTube and Rumble. Appreciate it. So we're trying to find the lightning round bed, but we don't have to do it. Don't even stress it, man. We can just jump into the lightning round without it. All right. Did you find the actual lightning though? No lightning strikes. It's good. Okay. So we're gonna have the lightning round. No lightning strikes. No bed. But bear with me. First story in the lightning round. Do you remember Gavin Newsom saying Donald Trump is running for president in 2028? He's running.
You will not have a country if he rigs this election. You will have a president who will be running for a third term. Mark my word. I wasn't exaggerating when I said that I received in the mail a Trump 2028 hat from one of his biggest supporters. These guys are not screwing around.
Remember that? I received a Trump 2028 hat. He's running. We laughed about it that day. We did. We all did. And everybody was like, you know what we need to do? We need to send him more Trump 2028 hats. And you ask this audience to do something, this audience delivers. He's been getting a lot of hats. This is Gavin Newsom earlier today.
You're not saying you think Republicans are going to stop it?
I don't think Donald Trump wants another election. You think for a second you want... I have 24 Trump 2028 hats. His folks keep sending me.
Congratulations. You can cover up that lousy hairdo with a great hat, sir, with just a fantastic hat. I mean, the greasy, slick back car salesman, no. Put a MAGA hat on. Even Joe Biden looked better in a MAGA hat. You remember that? I remember that. Keep sending him hats, please. Just listen to how mad he is.
Stop it.
I don't think Donald Trump wants another election. You think for a second you want... I have 24 Trump 2028 hats.
Those are rookie numbers. We gotta get those numbers up.
His folks keep sending me.
And you think he's going to run again?
No, don't give me. You don't. Who spends $200 million on a ballroom at their home and then leaves the house?
Oh, actually, a guy that cares about the country. I think he actually cares about beautifying the White House. I think he actually cares about beautifying D.C., and I think that's his motivations there. Instead of building a big, enormous tent every time you need to hold a function at the White House, it's actually cost effective. And fun fact, it's not costing the taxpayers anything, much like the 2 flagpoles that he put up in front of the White House as well. Got another story for you here in the lightning round. Donald Trump, I hope he keeps sending hats. I pray that he keeps sending hats. Listen, this story is Southwest Airlines. Maybe you've heard it, but it tickles me pink. If you are overweight on Southwest Airlines, you don't get 2 seats for free anymore. You're now going to have to pay if there are no other open seats on the flight. The time for special treatment is done. Putting it this way, Southwest is a favorite place for plus-size flyers. A new policy may change that. Starting next year, the airline will only guarantee a second seat refund on flights with at least 1 open spot. Why? If you need 2 seats on a plane, you got to pay for 2 seats. I can't get 2 seats for free. Why? Because you ate yourself into morbid obesity. Do you get 2 seats on a plane for the price of 1? And I think we should go a step further. You need a seatbelt extender? That's an added fee. Shout out to Southwest. I can't believe they did this in the first place. Actually, not shout out to Southwest. Shame on Southwest. Shame on you. They shouldn't have done that. Why would they do that? We used to be a proper country. Hopefully, Robert F. Kennedy can get everybody back down to a reasonable weight when he gets all the junk out of the food. Got another story for you here in the lightning round. This one goes back to Roblox. We've talked about Roblox a lot, and I have a long interview with Sarah Siegand from Parents Who Fight up on the YouTube channel now that is a must-watch for every parent and every grandparent who lets the kids play online. You need to know what Roblox is. One North Carolina mother calls it a pedophile hellscape. A pedophile hellscape. And she's suing Roblox after a predator groomed her 10-year-old daughter into sending explicit photos. For starters, Your kids, if they're 10 years old, should not be on the internet anywhere away from you. They just shouldn't. You should be keeping an eye on them. They should not have unfettered access to the internet. That being said, Roblox is the worst platform for kids out there, period. And one mom is saying enough is enough, and she's suing Roblox, claiming the company enabled a predator to sexually exploit her 10-year-old daughter on the popular gaming app. The lawsuit is alleging that Roblox knowingly created a pedophile hellscape despite promoting the app to parents as safe for children. The Post-Millennial breaks it all down. According to the complaint, the predator posed as another child and groomed the girl, convincing her to send explicit images. He allegedly gave her Robux, that's the game's virtual currency, in exchange for pictures, and threatened to revoke the gift if she did not comply. The interactions reportedly began on Roblox before shifting to text messaging. Why on earth would you allow your kid on the internet? You see everything that we're seeing. You guys know what time it is. You look at what happened in Minneapolis. That idiot was just groomed online by radical ideology. Completely. You see what's happening on sites like Roblox, where pedophiles and sexual predators are lurking, waiting for your kids. Why are you giving them unfettered access to the internet? Like I used to say, to each their own, every kid's different, but you as a parent need to be in the room. You have to. You can't let these kids just figure out their own way. It's been going on a long time. It's only getting worse, and it's not going anywhere. It's not. Don't let your kid on these platforms. Don't, please. For the love of God, don't do it. Your kid might be mad at you, but that is so much better than finding out that they were groomed by some predator into sending naked photos at 10 years old. Infinitely better. Infinitely better. The suit also argues that Roblox's in-game currency has made children obsessed with obtaining Robux, to the point where some tell strangers they will do anything for Robux. In a statement to the New York Post, a Roblox spokesperson said, "We are deeply troubled by any incident that endangers other users, and safety is a top priority." It's funny that they say that, because we can go back to the story that we did last week where Real Schlep, this Twitter user, is on the platform. Kid was groomed himself by a Roblox developer. The way Roblox works is users can create their own games and post them, and then Roblox hosts the game. So you get a lot of outlandish games. You get like Public Bathroom Simulator, which the entire point of that is using the bathroom with strangers. You're going to find pedophiles. You're going to find that. I think they've removed that game since that story broke. But Real Schlep went into Roblox. This is after he was groomed by a Roblox developer at a very young age. And he kind of woke up to the reality of what was happening. And now he's it's like the thing that harmed him has turned him into a hero. So he's gone into Roblox posing as a younger child. He's now in his early 20s. And he poses as a younger child, and he catches predators. He got 6 of them busted, giving actionable information to police. And Roblox kicked him off the platform. So when Roblox says we're deeply troubled by any incident that endangers our users and safety is a top priority, I call bovine scatology. The top priority for Roblox is money, and they don't care how they get it. They know that Roblox is a pedophile hellscape. You now know that Roblox is a pedophile hellscape, and no child should be on Roblox. But they go on to say, "We dedicate substantial resources, including advanced technology and 24/7 human moderation, to help detect and prevent inappropriate content and behavior." Well, you need to readdress that because you're failing miserably, including attempts to direct users off platform where safety standards and moderation may be less stringent than ours. This is what they'll do. Well, it didn't happen on our platform. It happened off our platform. No, the grooming began on your platform. The grooming did. The platform is terrible. Terrible. Don't let your kids near it. Don't let your grandkids near it. And if you know of a kid that's using Roblox, say something to their parents. Don't just bite your tongue. Let them know what's happening on this app. The lawsuit argues that the lack of proper age verification and effective parent controls made the abuse possible. Currently, Roblox only requires a username, a password, and a birth date to register. What do you think a kid's going to do? Listen, do you put your real birthday in there? I never put my real birthday in on things. I'm always like born in the 70s or the 50s. I'll go back as far as I can. I will. I seriously will. I don't want you to track me or know what my demographics are. But this is the state of Roblox. So you got a kid that'll go on Roblox and he wants to play a violent game. I get it. I played GTA as a kid. I did. And I get it. So do you think a kid who wants to play GTA isn't going to lie? I remember we had kids waiting outside the video game store for some adult that would buy us GTA. Like it's going to happen. Kids are going to do this. So you're going to need to put in proper safeguards or you're going to continue to have the same problems on the platform. And until they have proper roadblocks in there for Roblox, no pun intended, your kids belong nowhere near the platform. I can't say it enough. I have a great interview with Sarah Segan from Parents Who Fight. They're a nonprofit tech company that really dives into how to keep your kids safe on the internet. That's available on our YouTube channel. If you got kids, you got grandkids, you got nieces, you got nephews, that's a must watch. It's up there on demand for you. That does it all for today's edition of the Lightning Round. We'll have Chad Benson in next to let us know what's coming up on the Chad Benson Show right here on Super Talk 99.7 WTN. 11:53 Super Talk 99.7 WTN. My name is Chris Hand. Show's brought to you by our friends at Better Water LLC. Water filtration systems, water softeners, betterwater.com. Joined in studio by the one, the only Chad Benson. What's up, Chad?
What's up, brother? How you doing?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. Ready to rock and roll.
Me too.
What'd you talk about today?
Well, it's the big news of the day. It's my 8-year-old's birthday.
Oh.
I know. I almost said 7-year-old, but that doesn't count anymore.
That doesn't count.
No. So
How did that you guys went to the?
We went to the Atlanta Braves last week.
Game?
It does feel like it's been his birthday for like 3 weeks now. I'm not gonna lie. The Braves game was awesome. We had the best time. And I have a hack on how to get good seats.
Which is?
So here's the hack. Don't tell anybody.
I won't.
You can't tell a soul.
Will not.
You promise?
Yeah, sounds like Donald Trump. I'm gonna go out tonight. Don't tell anybody.
Don't tell anyone. This is what I do. I buy nosebleeds. About the third, fourth inning, I look at Ticketmaster. I see where the good seats are available. And then we sneak down.
Nice.
I said, let's go, boys. So then we sat like about 6 rows back from the Mets dugout for the rest of the game. And it was awesome. I mean, just like, and I didn't realize how into baseball he was. Like, I knew he's into baseball, but like, he was picking up on stuff that I wasn't picking up on. He's like, watch this, Dad. Every time the pitcher winds up, he's like, shortstop and second stop are going to jump up in the air. And sure enough, every time the pitcher winded up, like I would have missed it. But he's so into baseball, and it was a blast. It's a blessing to be in a position to take your kids to
That's awesome.
An event like that and do something like that.
Has the stadium nice?
Stadium was great. Yeah, no complaints. And then he wanted to get a ball so bad from one of the players. So he kept trying to sneak down in between innings. I'm like, buddy, they're working. I was like, you have to understand, this is a job. You're
it's the
cute.
coolest job in the world, but it's a job.
You're cute, but I don't think they're going to be paying attention to you. And he would like walk
you
down there.
You should have been a 23-year-old sorority girl,
right? And
take her. She'll get you a ball.
No, not in my household. We're not playing any games like that. But in the blue states, that might happen. But he would go down there and he'd get all nervous. He'd like look back at the seats and be like, and he'd come back. So they actually have an in-game store where you can buy like foul balls and dingers that have been hit. So we bought him a game used ball.
Oh, that's so cool.
And he's just, I mean, the kid was jazzed.
That is so awesome.
Yeah, we had the best time.
That's cool. Yeah, it does feel like it's going on forever, huh?
Oh, it's been the longest birthday ever. Yeah, but it's been worth it. It's been awesome. It's been so much fun.
Is there like a little cake in a party today?
So yes, we will do. We always go to a Mexican restaurant, and we get the song, we get the sombrero, and we get some tacos.
Nice.
So that's happening.
That's nice.
Yeah,
Charlie's birthday was Tuesday. So we celebrated some of it Tuesday. Then tomorrow I'm off. We're going to the zoo because it's the other part of the birthday. Then there's going to be Belle's coming over, and we're going to hang out and do some other presents that family has sent on Saturday.
Okay.
Because it's a birthday week.
Yeah. These kids so spoiled.
I know.
What's
it like when you're old, Dad? Nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's a Tuesday is what it is.
Yeah, I used to get it. Happens every year.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Great.
Yeah. You start going, I wish it didn't happen.
Yeah.
I wish I was younger. I wish it was going backwards.
Yeah.
Like that's yeah. But you want to celebrate that with the kids.
Yeah, it's awesome though.
That is cool.
I wouldn't change it for anything.
Right on. What else you talk? You didn't talk about that all day, did you?
Yeah, that was pretty much. That's pretty much it. We no, I mean, obviously Minneapolis is a big topic of conversation. I really took offense to what Trey Gowdy said.
Did you?
Did you see the Trey Gowdy?
Yeah.
What an absolute slimeball loser. This is the same guy who said the FBI did everything by the book in Russia. This is the same guy who, was it last week, said, there's different kinds of accountability than handcuffs when it comes to the Russia hoaxers. And now he's on TV demonizing white people for a mass shooting. And I just wonder if he would have the same kind of stones to go out after a headline of a weekend of violence in Chicago and say, seems like every time in Chicago, it always happens to be a young black kid. He would never.
No. Nobody would, because they feel like to be the death knell because nobody wants to have the conversation about that. We were talking the other day about it. There are 10 areas in Chicago that have a vast majority of the violence and crime, and it is not even close. It's 90+% African American.
Yeah.
It's black kids who feel like they've got nothing but this to look forward to in life. And it's a horrible situation, but everybody will they'll talk around it rather than address it.
You're not allowed to mention the race. The only race you're allowed to demonize in this country, the only color is white. You can do that all you want. You can make fun of white liberals. You can make fun of white conservatives. You can make fun, as long as it's white.
Yeah. Well, I make fun of everybody, and that's the beauty of it.
But then on the religion side, the same is true. You can only make fun of Christianity.
Well, the regular media will, like you and I and everybody else in the bulliers of the media world and online, we could poke fun at other stuff. But yeah, the old establishment media is never going to bring any of that stuff up.
There's only two safe things.
It's a narrative that doesn't work.
Yeah.
If yesterday that would have been just a drive-by, even if it would have caused that many people hurt, not a word would have.
You're absolutely right.
That's no big deal. Okay, we're moving on.
Yeah. If it was a toddler catching a stray in Chicago, it would have been a blip on the radar.
Yeah.
Which is sad, honestly.
It is, because there's an issue there that needs to be addressed, and everybody wants to deal with, well, it's the gun's fault. Nobody wants to go, maybe we need to address some of the root causes of this.
Actually, the Trump administration and RFK have announced that they're going to be investigating the effect of SSRIs on the transgender community and the effects of the medication if it does lead to violence.
Yeah.
Which is fantastic. Yeah. It's about time that we had a national conversation about this.
About everything that we're afraid to have a conversation about.
You can't just keep affirming mental illness and hope that it gets better. I made the point earlier. If I have an alcoholic family member and I give him $10 for a bottle of vodka, I'm enabling. If I have a dope fiend in my family and I give him $20, I'm enabling. I'm doing the wrong thing. And I think the same can be said about puberty blockers and these surgeries with transgender youth.
Yeah. We talked about it with a lot of these, you can't celebrate somebody being bulimic because you would absolutely be a horrible person. Hey, congrats, keep throwing up. You're doing this, right? Keep doing
I said earlier, if my kids are schizophrenic, and I said, let's dive into your other personalities and see what we can find.
You're going to get, we did that, and we got a horrible, nasty email by somebody.
Oh.
Yeah, like Paul called me in.
Well, looking forward to that then.
Because you shouldn't have said that. I said, I didn't. That other guy must have said it.
Chad's in next. He's the one that said the mean things. It's 12:01 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.